So having cleared that fear, we've got a couple more questions, and I want to get in all questions if I can before we end. So this dear person says, greetings. Can we also work with grief of relationships not worked out? Thank you. Yes. And so here what we're looking at is lack of resolution, lack of completion. So best thing to work this one out, and this is something you each can do, and doesn't take very long, and it's really a pleasure, is to find we're talking about relationships without resolution. So like unrequited love, or a love relationship that ended up ending badly or not nicely or something, or even relationships with people that we loved who died, then all of a sudden, wait a minute, I love that person. I don't get to hug them anymore. So what we can do is remember that at these causal level of strata of creation, there are these sacred gardens of the heart, these sacred spaces, which are unique to every precious relationship. And so you can go into that think about the person that you have the lack of resolution with. And what we do is we go into that relationship where your eternal soul and their eternal soul meet. And in that space, you can talk to them. You can express whatever it is that you felt never got to be expressed. And most importantly, you can continue to share your love if that's important to you. And what you're going to find is that working in the sacred gardens, you have access to that person. You have full access to them. You have access to their eternal soul. Even if they're stubborn or they're difficult or they've run away from you or you can't find them or they're dead, it doesn't matter. You can still go in, and the relationship can continue to evolve. And the nice thing about the sacred gardens of the heart is that these are very intimate spaces in the self. And so you can really be honest in those spaces. And I think that's one thing I didn't even mention at all in today's webinar, but is an important element in intimacy, is the ability to trust, which is based on honesty, which is based on truth. So be sure to watch the last webinar, because we did a whole activation for pure truth in the system. And that really is, in my perception, the foundation for relationships. So in that sacred garden of the heart that you have with that particular person, we can also have with collectives, obviously. You go in and you give your love. And if it's a mess in there, you can start throwing stuff out. Or if you need to create a silent space, like a little temple in the center of that space, where the flow of Mother Divine energy can come through and can heal and it can affect evolutionary change. This field that we're working in of this energy work is extremely dynamic, but it's also pretty new. I mean, look, we're experimenting. We just discovered new stuff today. So I encourage you to take it as an opportunity to learn and to teach yourself, and go in and just try and see what happens. Try giving love, then see what happens. Try, if there's a big wall up there in that sacred garden, try going in and what's that wall made of? Is there fear? Is there contention? Is there misunderstanding? What's in that wall that's putting a barrier between me and this person? And take it apart. Take it apart, see what happens. If I was the only computer programmer in the world, we'd have a really crummy internet. But luckily, you guys are out there and you're doing the thing too, and you're going to discover things that I don't even know. And I hope you do. And I hope you create amazing, amazing effects and results with your work, because you're all brilliant and you wouldn't be here. Yes, beautiful. So thank you. I just got the answer back from the person who asked that question. Says, I know that going closer to it is the key. So here's the thing. In the sacred garden, you're safe. You can go in there and you can just experiment. Because on some level, if they're very intuitive, they'll know. They'll feel your presence in that space. They'll feel you nurturing them. They'll feel you thinking about them. And that's okay. Maybe that'll be good for their evolution too, to develop and evolve that level of their intuition. But any work you do in there is awesome.